Following a flashy 56-6 win over the Kent State Golden Flashes, the Knights continued their inaugural season in the Big 12, facing off against one of the best G5 opponents in the country, Boise State. Coming off their own disappointing loss against number 10 Washington, the Broncos are looking for a win to secure a New Year's 6 bowl game. Was the loss against Washington just a fluke? Will Plumlee be able to pull his own weight? Can the Knights pull off a very difficult road win on the Smurf turf? My name is AC Flo, and this is the Boise State Preview.
Touchdown, Isaiah Bowser! Oh, what a great catch by Justin Hodges. Jumps up and launches it. He gets decked at the 30-yard line. 15, 10, to the 5, the 50, touchdown!
The only time these two programs have met was an insane matchup from start to finish. On September 2nd, 2021, the Knights kicked off against the Broncos in Gus Malzahn's first game ever with the Knights. Mother Nature wasn't on the game day's side, however, as their initial kickoff was delayed 3 hours due to a storm in the area. Unfortunately for our Knights, the first half of the game was all Boise State after QB Dylan Gabriels threw a pick to a defender that was converted into a touchdown. The Knights would continue to find themselves in the Broncos' dust, suffering a 24-14 deficit by the half. Luckily, UCF would find a way to reverse the roles, completing 2 touchdowns unanswered by the Broncos' defense. The Knights would eventually pull away with a 36-31 victory after a 21-0 start, the largest comeback win in Knights history. With this loss still fresh on the BSU mind, you know they will be playing for revenge Saturday evening. UCF took care of the Golden Flashes last week, showing off the amazing dynamic attack that the Knights are known for. With 723 total yards for 8 touchdowns, the Knights offense has many targets for QB John Rhys Plumlee to choose from. As a side note, UCF was named the #1 rushing offense in the nation last week. On the other side of the ball, the Knights' D-line was a brick wall that the Golden Flashes could not get through. Without even allowing the Kent State offense to enter the red zone, the defense caused 3 sacks and only allowed 95 rushing yards. The DBs were the second worst aspect of this otherwise amazing display on this UCF team, frequently allowing passes to get through them. Plumlee also balled out this game. Throwing for 289 yards, he threw 3 touchdowns while also running 90 yards for another touchdown. Even though Plumlee showed off the dual threat capabilities that we've seen last year, he still portrayed some very concerning traits in his ball control. Throughout the 3 quarters he played, he gave up 2 interceptions and a fumble. Just as a comparison, he threw 8 interceptions all throughout the 22 season. While UCF was able to shrug off these mistakes against a wildly inferior Kent State team, these errors could be devastating if they were caused by a more prominent team like Boise State. While UCF was enjoying the spoils of success against a not-so-good Kent State team, Boise State was getting pummeled by some Huskies. Washington, ranked number 10 in the nation, absolutely routed the Broncos in a 56-19 win, boasting one of the best offenses in college football. That isn't to say we can just count off BSU in our game coming up, though. The Broncos actually held the Huskies early in the game, keeping up with Washington until a couple of minutes into the third quarter. That alone should warrant caution for the Knights. The BSU defense is no joke. With the Broncos hungering for a win, the Knights are in their scopes to pull off a win at home. Boise State is projected to win the Mountain West this year, and some are even saying they'll make a New Year's 6 game. The preseason returning production is very similar to UCF, ranking 49th in the nation. UCF is ranked 51st. Quite honestly, there are so many similar things between our team and Boise's that it's no wonder why we used to be considered the top G5 programs in the nation. Like Boise, most of our positions are rock solid at our level. The only shaky group is our defensive secondary. It's almost shocking how similar the teams are. It's really just a copy and paste of black and gold to orange and blue. Boise State's starting QB, Taylon Green, is a monster and has the same dual threat capabilities as JRP. Looking at last year's stats, he completed a similar number of passes for the same amount of touchdowns with fewer interceptions than Plumlee. He was also able to rush for a total of 586 yards for 1 less touchdown than our Knights star. Like the Knights, Boise State is a run-oriented offense. The Broncos pride themselves off of 2 1,000-plus yard running backs, George Holani and Ashton Green. It was sort of an oddity last week when Boise State focused on throwing the ball down the field rather than running the ball last week against Washington, so expect them to run a lot more this weekend. So, how can UCF pull off the dub? A couple of logistical things need to happen first. First off, UCF needs to get in the game mentally. Yes, we came off a great win, but Boise State is like 5 steps harder than Kent State. UCF also needs to prepare for the Boise State home advantage that they are famous for. Many factors are going against UCF. The blue turf, Boise eager for a win, a 7-hour flight, different time zones, and a higher altitude. Luckily, UCF has been working on some of these factors in their practice. The Knights are utilizing nearby high school, Masters Academy, a school who actually has their own blue field. Coach Malzahn is hoping that by practicing at this school, they can eliminate the shock factor of playing on the blue. UCF has played away in tougher environments before, so the team should be used to playing in a similar away crowd. Coach Malzahn is also altering the Knights' practice schedule to get adjusted to the time change. He is also altering the team's travel routine to be extra prepared for this game. With the final problem being altitude, there quite honestly isn't anything UCF can do about it. The one advantage the Knights may have over other teams is that since it's so unbearably hot in Orlando, they're probably more used to not breathing than other schools. That's all logistics though. How do we win by actually playing? Throw the ball down the field. Coincidentally, like UCF, Boise State's weakest position is in their secondary. If Coach Hinshaw's efforts to get the ball down vertically have been used well, UCF can win this game. Luckily, we saw this last week against Kent State. However, the Kent State game should not be a deciding factor in gauging how good our football team will be. If Coach Malzahn's words are true, and I'm sort of paraphrasing, quote, "Football teams on average will see the most improvement throughout the first and second game." That brings the end of this preview. Hopefully I'll be able to talk to you guys next week after we're 2-0. Have a good day, go Knights, and charge on.